to say. Well, have it your way. It can get pretty dark when you're not shining on the stage. If you're reaching for the stars, pushing everybody out the way. I never tried to steal the light, didn't need to be a fight to hold me down all the time. So when no one really knows you, but everybody knows your name, I hope you like your taste of fame. In Pennsylvania, you said I was wrong. It could have been, should have been you. You text me saying that I don't belong. It was just another one of your cheap attacks, trying to stab me in the back. But what was I supposed to do? Yeah, now it's on you. It can get pretty dark when you're not shining on the stage. If you're reaching for the stars, pushing everybody out the way. I never tried to steal the light, didn't need to be a fight to hold me down all the time. So when no one really knows you, but everybody knows your name, I hope you like your taste of fame. How do you like to be alone? Can't even smell unless you're stoned. You had a girlfriend, but now I'm gone. So long. Oh. It can get pretty dark when you're not shining on the stage. If you're reaching for the stars, pushing everybody out the way. I never tried to steal the light, didn't need to be a fight to hold me down all the time. So when no one really knows you, but everybody knows your name, I hope you like your taste of fame. You had a girlfriend, you had a girlfriend, and you had a girlfriend, you had a girlfriend, and but you had to throw it all away.
Check. Hello, hello. There was a reoccurring dream I had every night as a kid. This dream was so vivid, it was so exciting, that there were times I thought to my little self that maybe it actually wasn't a dream at all, and maybe it was a memory. You see, all kids dream without any filter or any judgment. They just dream, some to be astronauts, professional athletes, or superheroes. My dream was that of my older self, looking as I do right now, playing in a rock and roll band to an arena-filled crowd, screaming my name, because I wanted to be a rock star. You see, the dream started off the same every single night. I'd be backstage as I would hear the rumbling, roaring of the audience. I'd put my guitar on, I'd head to the stage, strike a loud chord on the guitar, the stage lights would explode, and everyone would lose their minds. It was awesome. But it made me feel so warm inside, so much so that for years, that dream put me to sleep at night after night after night, so peacefully. As a kid, I spent every waking moment playing the guitar, singing, and songwriting. I wanted to know everything about it in the deepest way possible. Music came first before anything, and in those days, my first love was music. And it was mad, and it was deep. My parents remember me hiding all of my toys and all of my games when my friends would come over, so they would be forced to play music with me. If they didn't want to jump behind the drum set and play, I would send them right home. If they did jump behind the drum set and played but they weren't serious about it, I'd send them right home. Little did anybody who came in contact with me know that I was constantly auditioning them to be my future band members. At that point in my life, music was the driving force for my life, and simply put, I was happy. So I started to notice that this dream, which was once, happening at night, was now occupying my mind during the day. And I would be in school, and my teachers would call out my name many times without any response because I would be lost in my head thinking about musical ideas. At one of my many high school jobs, I remember my bosses begging me to complete tasks, which would go uncompleted, because I'd be in my head thinking about what my future band might look like or who would be a great producer to make our first record. But the main takeaway is this: at that point in my life, to just jam with other people who were passionate, to create, I felt at home and happy. High school came to a close. I dropped out of my first year of university, and I began to see all of my peers go on to accomplish great things, while I stayed back and played in front of 5 people at the local clubs. I knew I didn't want what they had, but I wanted what everyone else wants. I wanted the title. I wanted all the financial accolades they were all beginning to achieve. Time began to pass me by, and I no longer enjoyed playing music anymore. I reached a point where all I did was spend all of my time trying to figure out how I could figure a way to make my music into a financially successful business. I wanted to feel validated, and I wanted to feel worthy too. So what was once my sacred passion had now become the vessel which I completely exploited to become rich, to become powerful, to become famous. And that reoccurring dream had now turned into a reoccurring prayer in which every night I would go to bed just begging the universe or whoever was listening to me to just let me make it. It was as if a switch just went off in my head, and becoming big and powerful and known was more important than my love for music. But they say be careful what you wish for because it just might come true, right? Well, after years of hustling, I hit my big break. I would join a band which would go on to sign a major American record deal with one of the biggest record companies in the world, Def Jam. Our debut single would reach #1 on the American Billboard Top 100 rock charts, becoming the biggest song in rock in America that year. It was the top 5 most purchased music video on iTunes at the time. It went gold, then platinum. In Canada, we were nominated for a Juno Award. I was walking the red carpet with the likes of Neil Young, hanging around celebrities all the time, and the elite of the elite, women around me all the time, drugs being offered at all time, and more alcohol around me than water. I remember walking off stages like Madison Square Garden, thinking to myself and just having this feeling of deja vu. This was my childhood dream manifested into reality. But one thing was different. I wasn't happy. It was no longer comforting, and I didn't feel fulfilled. Here I was, literally living my dream, but I wasn't sure why anymore. I'd lost the love. I'd put such an immense amount of pressure on myself to just make it that I reached a point where I wasn't even loving it anymore. And it was a pretty scary time in my life. I remember this dream so comfortingly putting me to sleep, and now here I am, wide awake night after night, anxiety-filled, depressed, and sick. So I began taking a very highly addictive anxiety medication, which many doctors know is a medication that's harder to get off of than heroin. I continued touring, playing shows, circling the drain deeper and deeper into the darkness. And now not only was I taking this crazy anxiety medication, I was taking multiple sleep medications, an antidepressant, ADHD medication, and on occasions, painkillers. I wasn't even close to 30 years old, at the prime of my life. And here I am taking some of the world's heaviest narcotics every day, multiple times a day, to just feel like I could survive. There were times I couldn't get out of bed because I was in so much physical agony that I couldn't even walk, just because of the stress. I would cry uncontrollably. At the time, I didn't even know why. I would just weep and weep and weep. And then I'd wipe the tears away. I'd put the guitar back on, and I would head to the stage, which had now become my battlefield. I didn't tell anybody how I was feeling. For years, I kept those feelings inside because I was so scared and ashamed of even thinking about walking away from something I spent my entire life pursuing. And even though I was suffering so deeply on the inside, I chose to stick with it and suffer out of fear of having to walk away and start all over. There was a night, I remember doing a meet and greet with fans after the show, an autograph signing or whatever, and just standing there, and all of a sudden, this bolt of felt like a bolt of lightning, just went right through my body. And I thought I was having a heart attack. And after a few moments of collecting myself, I realized that it was a panic attack. And around this period of my life, I had many panic attacks because of what I was going through, but nothing ever like this. I remember just going completely blank and not knowing what to do. And this primal energy just took over me, telling me to run. So I did. I just ran. I ran and I ran and I ran. I ran right out of the venue and further down the street. But what was I running from? I was in no immediate danger. Was I running from the monster I had created? All of the lies I had been living? Myself? It was at this point I realized that I could not run any further, and all of the terrible things I thought people would think about me for walking away no longer outweighed how lost and lonely I felt. I realized that for years I was living my life as Sal the rock star, but neglected all these other pieces of my life. But the scariest thing about it was at that point in my life, I didn't even know what those other pieces were anymore because I was so far into it. And I didn't even know who I was. I lost myself completely. This is when I hit rock bottom. It was the scariest and hardest point of my entire life, but somehow I mustered up the courage to just walk away from it all cold turkey and to begin the process of rediscovering who I really was. So I began working in a kitchen as a cook out of sheer desperation to find some other passion in my life that I could love other than music. And as I began to cook more and more, this love and passion for creating beautiful dishes began to grow and grow and grow. And it triggered a flood of memories that I had buried a long time ago. Some of the happiest moments of my childhood, which was me as a little boy, being in the kitchen with my grandparents and my parents as they would make these homemade, handmade Italian meals night after night after night. And I remembered in those moments how centered and how happy I felt and how nourished my soul was. So it was through cooking that I began to see that there was more to me than Sal the rock star. And all of those nights, I went to bed dreaming about being a rock star. There were so many other pieces, parts, moments, and memories that made me who I was, that made me the musician I would become. My family, animals, traveling, exploring, martial arts, food, the list goes on. And I realized that for years, I neglected all of these other pieces. You see, the human body cannot function off a diet of only chocolate. It'll survive, but not well. It's the same thing with the human spirit. If you deny it of everything that makes it whole, it'll never flourish. This was a massive revelation for me, and I started to see things change because of it. That light, that sparkle, that love for life that I had when I was a kid started to creep back. I made peace with myself, my new life, and honestly, I was happy again. But as they say, we plan and God laughs. A couple of months ago, I happened to randomly reconnect with some old touring friends of mine, Brian Byrne and Dave Benedict. Brian and Dave were also in big platinum-selling rock bands. They also lost their passion and drive for music. And we really bonded through this common thread. So we decided to fly to the West Coast to spend 10 days in a studio together to just write, create, hang out, just to see what would happen, to see if there was something still there. It was pure magic. It was as if I had never put down the guitar. Music, melodies, lyrics, everything was just flowing through me so freely. It was electric. I hadn't cracked that many smiles and guttural laughs doing anything music-related in years. The love was back. The drive was back. The passion was back. But the best part about it was this, was that I was doing it for the right reasons. And it felt good. It felt the way it did when I was a kid. And you see, it's only because I decided to walk away from it all and know in my heart of hearts, that I didn't need a music career to feel whole, that I found myself. And the most beautiful part about that is music found me again. You know, there's nothing in the world like playing in front of 50,000 screaming fans. Nothing. But there's something better. The sound of my kids laughing, cozy nights at home, creating music with people I love, true friendship, and family. You know, I've gone through a lot of crazy things in my life, and I've had a ridiculous amount of experiences being a rock star. And I'm young, and I'm sure there will be a lot more. But if there's one thing in my life that I am most grateful for, it's hitting rock bottom. Thank you.